what's up, you guys? This is Prasad here for CCDaily.com. So the latest Des Moines Register Bloomberg Politics Iowa Poll has Bernie Sanders trailing Hillary Clinton by 7 points. Well, just 7 points. Now, I read an article in one of those sites, I don't know, some progressive blog or something, that said it is inevitable that Bernie Sanders is going to overtake Hillary Clinton. It is inevitable. Now, when Bernie started off with his campaign, it was in February or something when he was in Bill Maher's program, when he hinted that he's considering to run for the presidency. A shot. And Bill Maher and the crowd, to be honest, they were supportive, but they didn't know what kind of a support that Bernie Sanders could actually generate if he, in fact, was running for presidency. So he decided in late March, and he announced, in the end of May. So what transpired after that should be American folklore, because it is unimaginably one of the best and most entertaining and enthusiastic performances for the presidency that you can ever expect from a presidential candidate, because he hits the points that the American people really want to know and want to care about. They feel deep in their hearts. But this kind of poll from Iowa is unbelievable. 7 points. He's trailing Hillary Clinton 7 points. And we're 6 months before the first polling begins in Iowa, which is scheduled for February 1st, 2016. And he's only 7 points behind her. If this was January 2016 and he was 7 points behind Hillary, the things we thought of, 3-4 months back of Bernie Sanders, if you said he was trailing Hillary 7 points in January, before 1 month before the elections in Iowa, people wouldn't have believed it. They would have been like, wow, that's a big showing. He has a slimmer of a shot, because 7%, 7 points is not a big deal. It's just might be in the margin of error. Who knows? But now, considering the fact we're 6 months before any voting begins, and this becomes one of those instances that is practically nobody's talking about this. Hillary is in the front. She's going down. She's going down, 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 down. Like, so down. It's a downward spiral, man. And kudos to Martin O'Malley for the speech in the DNC meet. It was amazing. I'm a Bernie supporter, but still I felt that deserved an applause. He can be the president after Bernie completes his term. That's what I feel. Because that was really a powerful performance by Martin O'Malley. And that was an awkward handshake, Her name is really one of those funny names. And Bernie has one of those shots that at the presidency that McCarthy. People bring in Ross Perot. Well, Bernie is not crazy. He's not super right-wing. He is right in the center of what the American people think. He is in the mainstream. And he generates the kind of enthusiasm that Barack Obama, to be honest, did back in 2008, not in 2012. It was all the same old. Lesser of the two evils. Who do you want, Mitt Romney or Barack Obama? And people chose Barack Obama. This election is not something, it doesn't have to be something of a sort of, who do you want, Jeb Bush or Hillary Clinton? It can be something of magnitude. It can have somebody like Donald Trump, who I feel is going to win the nomination for the GOP, because he resonates. I saw his last appearance where he reads from the New York Times and just throws the paper. Like, that people in the left might feel that's kind of over the top, but that seems authentic. I understand why it seems and appeals to a lot of people, because it seems authentic. There's nothing choreographed in that. He might have said, I'm going to read from the New York Times, but he didn't know what he's going to read. He might say, this para I'm going to read, but it's still authentic. What he did was it was like talking. It's just talking. That's how Bernie Sanders does. He doesn't think you're dumb. He explains his plan. He explains his vision for the country, and that's something that other politicians seem so fake. Martin O'Malley's speech seemed slick, to be honest. It was great. It was slick. It's not something you talk to Bernie Sanders, you get a straight answer. You talk to Donald Trump, he might answer on the issue, but still you'll get an answer. You might not like the answer, but you'll get an answer. So that's the problem with the mainstream politicians, and this was a long time coming. They thought it was going to be with Barack Obama in 2008, but it wasn't, because he was a corporate Democrat. He was right in the center. He was pals with all the lobbyists and whatnot. So that was a disappointment, to be honest, and not to an extent how Republicans try to paint him as this socialist, but he actually ran away from the word socialist, and Bernie really wears that term like a badge of honor. So now you can understand, he is the real deal. Bernie Sanders is the real deal, and I'm not going to go ahead on what the GOP is going to, choose. I'm really, really hoping that Bernie Sanders becomes the nominee of the Democratic Party, because that would be one of those moments that you have when you understand the system is actually working, and the people can actually be represented by their politicians, and the president actually is someone who can work for the people and not lobbyists and that, or the banks or the corporations. So this guy, he understands. He's an activist. He understands what's going on. And under a Bernie Sanders presidency, I think we can have something of the sort of greatness again. I feel to two of them. At first, before it was said Rand Paul versus Bernie Sanders can be a war of ideas if it's in the general election. But no. It's not going to be Rand Paul versus Bernie Sanders. It's going to be Donald Trump versus Bernie Sanders, is what I feel, because Jeb Bush or anybody else, they seem like chump change to Donald Trump. He's not going to back down. And I know I've seen a lot of liberal, progressive pundits, in progressive outlets. They say Donald might go far. He's here to stay. He's the real deal. He might go far, but he's not going to be the nominee. But I really disagree, because he is going to be the nominee, because his poll numbers have been increasing. If you feel Bernie Sanders is going to be the nominee, he's got a shot, you really have to understand the same logic applies to the GOP as well, because they understand what Ted Cruz is doing at the moment is, it's pretty smart, but the only problem is Donald Trump. That plan can work if Donald Trump falters. So it's just not going to happen, because he's flaunting what he truly is, and that is really a strength, because he's winning because what he says, he emits what he is. He's not faking anything. He's just showing what he really is, and that people are resonating with that. And I don't think that will be a problem. That's the same thing with Bernie Sanders. He's authentic. He says people see what they see and they hear what they hear. That's the real deal. There's no acting. There's no choreography that's going on, and that really does impact the way that people perceive both these candidates. That is one of the biggest positives, and that this election can be one of the most, I would say, in fact, the most entertaining election ever in American history, because Ross Perot, you thought Ross Perot was a spoiler? He wasn't a spoiler. Have you seen the Rachel Maddow show with her whole thing to what happened in the 1992 elections? That really explained a lot, that he wasn't the spoiler. Bush, Papa Bush was on the downfall. He was going to lose either way. And Ross Perot actually got equal number of votes from both the Bill Clinton and George H.W. Bush. So, if by chance some corrupt way that Donald Trump isn't the nominee and he runs as an independent, well, there can be a split of votes, and that I'm not gonna go deep into that, but I'm what I feel, what I see of the poll numbers, and what I feel, I have trust for the statistics that is going on into these polls. I feel that it's gonna be a Donald Trump and a Bernie Sanders presidency for showdown, to be honest, and that would be really entertaining, and I'm looking forward to that. And for the moment, Bernie Sanders is trailing and is rising as fast as anyone could have ever imagined, including Bernie Sanders. He's just 7 points behind Hillary Clinton, and that is really this news story at the moment. And for further polls, I'll keep you updated. So if you like the video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and take care.